Imagine you are sitting in this really crucial boardroom meeting. Or, I don't know, maybe you are sitting down to write the most important academic paper of your entire career.
Oh, the pressure is definitely on.
Right. You have this genuinely brilliant idea in your head, but when you finally open your mouth or, put pen to paper, the only way you can think to describe this highly complex, nuanced thought is by calling it a really big, good change.
Oh, yeah. That hurts to hear.
It does, because suddenly you sound entirely average, even if your underlying idea is absolute genius.
Exactly.
It is just incredibly frustrating. And if you have ever felt that disconnect between how smart you are and how you actually sound, you are not alone.
Not at all. I mean, the data we are looking at today backs this up in a staggering way.
It really does. So welcome to this deep dive. Today we are looking at a really fascinating stack of sources. It's a collection of vocabulary analyses, top-tier test prep strategies, and linguistic deep dives.
Yeah, and we are pulling heavily from data based on over 1.2 million practice exams for something called the IELTS test.
Right. And for those who aren't familiar with that whole testing world, IELTS is basically one of the most widely recognized global benchmarks for English language proficiency.
It is, and the data from it reveals a pretty harsh truth. 72% of candidates plateau.
Wow. 72%.
Yeah, they get stuck right at what is called a band 5.5. And to give you some context, a band 5.5 basically means you are perfectly average. Like, you can survive a conversation, sure, but you aren't standing out.
Right. And a band 7 or above is that magic threshold, right? Where you cross from being just okay to being recognized as a highly competent, advanced, and authoritative communicator.
Exactly. And what is so heartbreaking about that 72% plateau is that, well, these people don't lack intelligence. And they don't fundamentally lack English comprehension either.
So what's the issue?
They get stuck simply because they fail to paraphrase.
They end up trapped. They just rely on the exact same basic everyday words over and over again.
Precisely. And that repetition severely limits how their intelligence and capability are perceived by the listener.
Whether that listener is a test examiner, a university professor, or even a boss.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That repetition is a massive roadblock.
Yeah.
It creates an artificial ceiling on your score, yes, but more importantly, it creates a ceiling on how effectively you can navigate the real world.
Which brings us to our actual mission for you today. We are going to shortcut the path to advanced fluency for you.
Yes, we are.
But to be absolutely clear, we are not going to ask you to just sit down and memorize a dictionary.
Spot on. I mean, memorizing random, disconnected lists of words without understanding how they function. That is actually one of the worst, most counterproductive things you can do for your fluency.
Okay, let's unpack this. Instead of rote memorization, what we are going to do today is strategically upgrade the most overused words in the English language.
I love this part.
We are going to swap them out for precise, high-scoring alternatives that will instantly elevate how you sound. So before we can start building these beautiful, complex sentences, we have to fix the foundation.
Right, the basics.
And that foundation is usually built on the descriptive words everyone relies on way too much. We call it escaping the good, bad, and big trap.
What's fascinating here is that those three words, good, bad, and big, they're incredibly subjective and, well, vague.
Totally.
Like if you say a policy is good, I don't really know what that actually means. Does it make money? Does it save lives? Does it just make you feel happy?
Right, there's no precision.
Exactly. In an academic or professional setting, precision is everything. You simply cannot afford to leave your listener guessing.
So let's explore how to actually fix this. Let's look at a really common sentence structure. I catch myself saying things like, exercise has a good effect on your mental health.
Right, we all say that.
It communicates the point, sure, but it sounds a bit basic. How do we upgrade that?
The perfect upgrade for that specific context is the word beneficial. Pause E.
Oh, nice. Just feel how different that sounds in the mouth. Exercise has a beneficial effect on your mental health. It shifts the entire tone of the sentence.
It really does. And let's talk about why it shifts the tone. Beneficial explicitly states that something provides a tangible advantage.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it completely removes the subjectivity of the word good and replaces it with utility. It tells the listener, hey, this produces a positive, measurable result.
Okay, I see the mechanics of that. That makes sense. Let's flip it to the negative, though. What if I were to say, too much screen time is bad for children? Again, the word bad is just so hollow.
For that, the precise upgrade is detrimental. Pause.
Too much screen time is detrimental to children. Wow, that word carries so much weight.
That is exactly why it scores higher and commands more respect. Detrimental implies actual active harm or damage.
Right.
It actually comes from a Latin root meaning to wear away. So it isn't just something you mildly dislike.
Yeah.
It is something that is actively eroding a situation. When you say something is detrimental, people sit up and listen.
All right, there's a third offender in this trap. The word big. I mean, I hear this in meetings all the time. Someone will say there's a big difference between the two groups.
Oh, the upgrade here is great. It's either substantial or significant.
There is a substantial difference between the two groups. Okay, I need to push back for a second here, though.
Go for it.
So what does this all mean for you as the learner? Is upgrading your vocabulary just a simple, find and replace game on a keyboard? Like if I spill coffee on my shirt, I just swap it out for a clean one and go about my day.
Right.
Can I just plug these new advanced words in exactly where the old basic ones were?
That's a crucial point, and the short answer is absolutely not. This is where so many people trip up.
Okay, why?
Context and collocations, which are basically the words that naturally grammatically sit next to each other in English, they matter significantly more than just knowing a fancy word.
Give me a real-world example of how that collocation mechanism actually works.
Sure. Let's look at the grammar changes that happen when you swap these words. If you use our first example, something is beneficial for you.
Right. Beneficial for?
But if you look at the second example, something is detrimental to you. You cannot say something is detrimental for you. It just sounds wrong to a native speaker.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The underlying architecture of the sentence has to change to support the new word. If you just find and replace without knowing the preposition that follows, you actually sound less fluent than if you had just stuck with the word bad.
Oh, that makes total sense. It's kind of like you can't just drop a heavy new engine into a car without upgrading the brakes and the transmission to handle it.
Exactly. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And furthermore, the context is paramount. Let's take the word significant.
Okay.
A scientific study can show a significant increase in global temperatures, meaning the increase carries statistical weight or high importance.
Makes sense.
But going back to your clothing analogy, you cannot put on a shirt that is 2 sizes too large and say, well, this t-shirt is significant on me.
I mean, I guess I could, but I'd get some very strange looks from my friends.
Right, because significant does not describe physical volume or size in that context. It describes importance. So you always have to marry the upgraded word to the exact right context.
All right, so we've fixed the foundational adjectives. We know how to describe things precisely. But an adjective is really only half the battle. Now we need to look at how things actually act. The verbs.
Yes, the verbs. This is where so many speakers lose their authority without even realizing it. We rely on these weak foundational verbs entirely out of habit.
I want you to think about the last email you sent to your boss or maybe a client. Did you tell them you did a project or that you executed one?
Oh, huge difference.
The difference in how they perceive your competence based on that one verb choice is massive. Let's look at the word do, as in, our team will do research to find solutions. It sounds almost childish.
It really does. The upgrade for do in a professional or academic setting is carry out or execute. Pause.
Our team will carry out research to find solutions. Or, the scientists executed the experiment. That shifts the tone entirely.
Yeah, it does.
Like doing something sounds like you just sort of stumbled into it. Carrying out or executing implies a deliberate, structured plan.
That is the exact nuance we are aiming for, intentionality. Okay, here's another one that strips away your authority. The word get, as in it takes time to get new skills.
Oh man, I use that one way too much. What is the better option?
The upgrade is acquire. Pa use.
It takes time to acquire new skills. I love how that changes the dynamic.
Right.
Because getting something sounds passive, like someone just handed it to you. Acquiring sounds like you had to put in active, concerted effort to earn it.
Precisely. Let's try another one. The word show. A classic sentence would be, the data shows a steady rise in renewable energy.
And the upgrade.
Demonstrate.
Pa use.
The data demonstrates a steady rise.
Exactly. To give you a bit of linguistic background, demonstrate comes from a Latin root meaning to point out or prove.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is much more rigorous than simply showing something, which can honestly be accidental. Okay, here's one that trips me up constantly. The word change. Like, we need to change the system, or the company changed its strategy.
The upgrades here are alter or modify. Poes.
We need to alter the system. Now, why is that inherently better? Why shouldn't I just say change?
Because change is a blunt instrument. You can change your socks, you can change your mind, you can change the channel on the TV,
Fair point.
but modify implies a surgical, deliberate adjustment to an existing complex system. When you say you modified a strategy, you are telling the listener that you kept the good parts and surgically improved the weak parts.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Let's hear it.
If the goal is to sound as advanced, surgical, and authoritative as possible, shouldn't we just, I don't know, open up a massive thesaurus, find the most ancient, complicated, multi-syllable words we can physically pronounce, and just pack them into every single sentence we speak?
Oh, please do not do that.
Yeah.
That is what linguists and test examiners call the danger zone.
The danger zone.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture of how communication is actually evaluated, using words you aren't 100% confident about sounds incredibly fake and pretentious. It backfires instantly.
It's like wearing a full tuxedo to a casual Sunday brunch. It just doesn't fit the environment, and everyone notices how uncomfortable you look.
That's a perfect analogy. You don't look classy, you just look completely out of place.
Yeah.
The sources we are reviewing today actually highlight a terrible example of a student falling into this exact trap.
Oh, early.
Yeah. Imagine someone trying to sound wildly intellectual and writing, quote, individuals should ameliorate their quotidian existence, unquote.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what that means. It sounds ridiculous, like they swallowed a Victorian novel.
It does. It is overly complicated for absolutely no reason. It just obscures the meaning. Now compare that to the clear, confident upgrade. People should improve their daily lives.
People should improve their daily lives so much better. It breathes.
Exactly. The overarching goal of upgrading your vocabulary is clarity and precision, not trying to sound overly impressive or burying your core message under heavy, archaic language.
Yeah.
When you use execute instead of do, you are adding sharpness to your thought, not just syllables.
All right, so we fix the actions, the verbs. But an action is nothing without an actor.
Right.
Who is actually doing these things. This brings us to a major hurdle our sources call the people problem. We default to the word people way too often.
This is actually one of my favorite adjustments to make because it instantly, almost effortlessly, transforms the quality of a sentence. People is arguably the most overused noun in the English language.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. When you are writing an essay, giving a presentation, or building a logical argument, you are rarely talking about all 8 billion human beings on planet Earth in general, right?
Usually not, no.
You are almost always talking about specific groups.
Exactly, and this is where we employ the Doer Strategy. You want to describe the actor by the specific function they are performing in the context of your argument.
Let's run this through our format. Let's say the context is discussing personal lifestyle choices or personal responsibilities. Instead of saying people must adopt sustainable habits, what do we use?
The upgrade is individuals. Pause.
Individuals must adopt sustainable habits.
Yeah, it feels much more targeted. Okay, what if the context is discussing laws, government, or national issues? Like, people expect transparency from the government.
The context-specific upgrade is citizens. Pause.
Citizens expect transparency from their government. And what if the context is the economy, business, or buying habits? People are demanding eco-friendly products.
The upgrade. Consumers. Pause.
Consumers are demanding more eco-friendly products. The specificity there is amazing. But what about when we talk about age demographics? Because I hear a lot of speakers, even in professional settings, use terms like kids or folks.
Oh, that is another massive danger zone.
Really?
Yeah, casual terms like kids, folks, or even guys completely drag down your credibility in a professional or academic setting. They belong in a casual chat at a coffee shop, not a boardroom or an IELTS testing center. So what are the precise upgrades there?
Well, if you are talking about teenagers
Yeah.
or youth, upgrade kids to adolescents or minors. Pause.
Okay.
And if you were talking about older generations, definitely avoid saying old people, which is vague and
I know.
honestly somewhat disrespectful.
Right.
And upgrade to the elderly or senior citizens. Pause. That depends on if you were talking about healthcare or government policy, of course.
I want to throw in an analogy here. Calling everyone people regardless of the context is kind of like looking at a massive workbench full of specialized tools and calling every single tool a thingamajig.
Oh, I love that.
Like, hey, hand me that thingamajig so I can fix this other thingamajig.
Yes. And you would never hire a mechanic who talks like that because it implies they don't actually understand the nuances of the machinery.
Right. You need the exact tool, the wrench, the screwdriver, the pliers for the exact job. Upgrading from the generic people to consumers or citizens is picking up the exact right tool to build a strong, structurally sound argument.
This raises a very practical question, though. Once you have all these shiny new linguistic tools, how do you actually carry them around in your head?
Which brings us perfectly to the most actionable part of our deep dive today. Because, well, it is one thing to nod along while listening to us right now, and it is a completely different thing to actually remember these words under the pressure of a ticking clock or a room full of staring executives without completely freezing up.
Exactly. This is where the strategy really crystallizes. Our sources analyzed over 300 top-scoring Band 7 to 9 essays.
Wow, okay.
And the secret of the candidates who consistently scored the highest wasn't that they tried to cram 100 new vocabulary words into their brains on the subway ride the morning of the test.
Thank goodness, because that panic cramming never works for me. The words just evaporate the second I get nervous.
It never works. The actual secret is a concept called the rule of 5.
The rule of 5.
Yeah. You do not need a massive, unmanageable list. You just need to pick your starting 5 words. Pick 5 advanced synonyms that feel somewhat natural to you, and physically practice using them across completely different conceptual contexts.
Explain how that works in practice. So if I pick the word crucial, what do I actually do with it?
You practice deploying it everywhere. So you would practice writing a sentence using crucial in the context of the environment, like reducing emissions is crucial.
Okay.
Then you write a sentence about technology. Data privacy is crucial. Then maybe one about education. Early childhood funding is crucial.
So you are basically stress testing the word.
Exactly. You practice those same 5 words until they become automatic muscle memory. Remember, our golden rule: quality always beats quantity.
Right.
If you can confidently, seamlessly, and accurately deploy just 5 advanced words, you will sound infinitely more fluent than someone nervously trying to shoehorn 20 disconnected words they don't really understand into a single paragraph.
Let's do a final set of upgrades to really showcase the psychological impact of this quality over quantity approach.
Let's do it.
Let's look at the word important, as in it is important to protect natural habitats.
The high-level upgrades are crucial or paramount.
Yeah.
Pause.
It is paramount to protect natural habitats. Man, that elevates it from a casual suggestion to an absolute necessity.
It really does.
And one more, a phrase we all use constantly. A lot of. As in, there is a lot of evidence to support this view.
Oh, the upgrade here is beautiful.
Very
It's a
clever.
there's a wealth of evidence to support this view. Let's just pause and analyze that one, because the psychological shift there is fascinating to me.
It is.
If someone in a meeting leans back and says, there is a lot of evidence, it sounds like a casual guess. It sounds like they're basically estimating based on a vibe.
Yeah, a vibe.
But if they lean in, make eye contact, and say, there is a wealth of evidence, they suddenly sound like a commanding expert who has meticulously done all the reading. Spot on. It completely alters the listener's perception of your authority. You haven't actually changed the fundamental data you are sharing. The evidence is exactly the same, but you have drastically changed the packaging.
Right.
And in human communication, the packaging matters just as much as the contents.
It really does. It is the lens through which people judge your competence before they even look at your data. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to connect everything we've unpacked today back to your daily life. Yes, these specific strategies, the rule of 5, the doer strategy, escaping the good, bad, and big trap, they are explicitly designed by linguists for achieving a band 7 or higher on an IELTS exam.
But their utility goes so far beyond a testing center. These aren't just tricks for an examiner.
Exactly. These are the exact same tools that are critical for dominating a boardroom presentation or for writing a university paper that actually commands respect from a professor.
Or even just clearly expressing a highly complex, nuanced thought to a friend over dinner without stumbling over vague, frustrating language.
Right. If we connect this back to the bigger picture of human interaction, your vocabulary is the primary lens through which you project your intellect to the outside world. When you take the time to upgrade the precision of your words, you inevitably upgrade the precision of your image.
That's a crucial point.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering question to ponder today. We've spent this entire time talking about how your words affect how others perceive you. But linguists and cognitive scientists often suggest something called linguistic relativity.
Oh, I love this theory.
It's the idea that the vocabulary we use actually shapes the way we see the world. It frames our internal reality.
That's a fascinating concept. The idea that you can only fully understand a concept if you have the precise word for it.
Right. So think about this as you go about your week. If you systematically upgrade the precision of your daily vocabulary, moving from basic descriptors to highly advanced, nuanced terms, does that actually change the quality, the depth, and the clarity of the thoughts you are inherently able to have?
Do better words literally create a better mind?
It is something to mull over until next time.